Yeah.
And the rest of the team members.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. Hi, Beatrice. Hi, Redemptor. Nice to see you all. Hi, Catherine.
Nice to see you, Catherine, and everyone. Thanks so much. Good morning.
Nice morning. I hope everybody had a good evening yesterday, a good day rather.
Sure.
Yeah. The rest of it, what was remaining. So nice. Yeah. So let's give people just a few minutes for then to admit them. Then we can say our prayers, and then we can start. Then as you're doing that, please don't forget to make me a co-host, please. Great, nice. I think we can start in the interest of time to make sure that we don't get too far behind. And I would like to request that we start with a word of prayer. Anyone would like to pray for us, please? Welcome everybody, the ones who have just recently joined.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. I will pray.
Thank you.
Let us pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Father, we thank you again for this morning. Thank you, dear Father, for holding us up yesterday, and here we are again this morning, ready to learn, oh dear Father. We thank you because you are holy. We thank you because we know you'll go ahead of us. We know this morning, Father, that we have started late, we'll be able to learn, for your plans are not ours, and we know you are here with us. Again, Father, we want to place our facilitator, Catherine, into thy hands. Lord, give her wisdom to pass the knowledge down to us. And Father, give us patience to be able to get as much as we can. Bless the day for everyone, even all the other roles that we may be having today. Go ahead of us. In Jesus' name we pray and believe. Amen.
Yeah, thank you, Beatrice. Appreciate for the nice prayer. Okay, great. We'd like to do a recap of yesterday. I don't know whether there's anyone who has joined us on the August HR series. We started off with coaching and mentoring yesterday. Today we will be winding up. Tomorrow we'll start with HR consulting. For the ones who are joining today, a very warm welcome. We'll be able to do a recap, and then also you will be able to find the notes on the LMS, so don't worry too much, and also the recording. So we've started the recording, so you can always listen to yesterday's recording, and today we'll also record. So for your own review, you can always go back and see and listen at your own comfort. So recap yesterday, takeaways, coaching, mentoring, reflections, what really stood out for you, any reactions as we dive into today's topic? Anyone? Let's go to recap so that we see what we took away from yesterday. Feel free to unmute and just share. Anyone? Real good.
Yeah, for me, what came out clearly yesterday is that for us to succeed as HR practitioners in the workplace, we must begin by streamlining culture. Because once culture is streamlined, then there'll be alignment in terms of trying to implement HR initiatives. So we have to begin by the culture aspect of it, then do a strategy, then we implement.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. And really just speaks to any good organization around What kind of culture do we have? What kind of values, our traditions, our beliefs? If that is really right and correct, then it's very easy for us to be able to put in all these other programs that we want to bring in place. Too busy for us to embrace coaching, embrace mentoring, because we become agile around our learning initiatives and the way we would like to see leadership being provided in that organization. Thank you, Nancy. Very, very well put. Someone else? Someone else? Morning.
For me, what came out clear yesterday, it was the responsibilities of our mentors, which you really explained very well. And then the other part, we had the parameters to assess mentees. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
Looking forward to learn more today.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, everybody has a role to play, and a crucial role to play, the role of a mentor. How do we show up, and we'll talk a little bit more on that today. And also, who is a mentee? How does a mentee really show up, whether it's at the workplace or even other places, and what really brings me to that program, and what are some of the deal breakers that would stop us or would sever the relationship. Thank you, Redemptor. Someone else?
Yes, Catherine.
Hello,
For
Beatrice.
me, yes, for me, what stood out that we must have very clear goals as we go to coaching and mentoring, so that it's not looking like a punishment or a must do, and people are not receiving it nicely. And also the idea of the reverse mentoring, where we are having the young generation or the young people in the organization mentoring the older ones, so that then we are moving together. That for me really stood out. Thank you.
Fantastic.
And looking forward to the day.
Thank you. Yeah, that's. I think that's really nice. Reverse mentoring and being very deliberate to listen to our organizations now. What are people saying? What do people know more than what we know that would really help us as individuals, and also in terms of our objectives as an organization, and also this younger generation, making sure that you pick the right things around what the expectations are and what they are really saying, and not thinking, oh, you're too self-entitled, this is all what you want. And maybe they're saying, hey, if we do this, this is going to be very different for us. Yeah, very, very, very important. Remind me to send maybe to Dan, and he can send in different WhatsApp groups. There's a nice, and I'm sure maybe you've seen it, Richard, what's his name? The guy for Virgin Atlantic?
Richard Branson?
Yes, Richard Branson. Yeah, thank you. He's got a good, very good explanation on the role of reverse mentoring. A very nice video done with one of his employees, and we're just talking about reverse mentoring. Remind me, or I can drop it for anyone who wants to watch it. It's a 4-minute video, but it's really nice. Someone else? I think those were good takeaways. Anybody else? Highlights of yesterday? Things that stood out for you? Any question that you'd like us to tackle before we start the day? Thing that you went and thought and said, well, I didn't get this. How would I mainstream this at my workplace? Okay. So allow me to share my video. My screen now. Just go back to where we stopped. Go. What type of different personalities? Oh, we've not gotten there. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun. Me bad. Can see my screen now?
No.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Can see it?
Yes.
Be good there now, isn't it? Fantastic. So we say that one of the things that would really hinder us, if we are a high-performing organization and we want to see what are the effects of good coaching in an organization and good mentoring in an organization, is that we will see stronger working relationships. We will be able to see more motivation coming from people. We'll be able to see more productivity. We'll be able to see less accidents. We'll be able to see people who collaborate more. You know, collaboration is very now the in thing. You know, everybody's saying collaboration. You know, even if it's with our competition, we are saying competition now. So really things emerging because we know that we need to collaborate, even if we are competitors, but we need also to collaborate in one way or another. So that is important. So it just reminds me, another day I was speaking to a friend of mine based in Nigeria, and I was asking him, how is it going in terms of a project that he had been working on for a long time? And this is in the aspect of collaboration with your competition. And they were trying to see how they can engage when people dig the internet cables in the informal settlements. You know, people can be very difficult and they vandalize and they won't give you access. So what happens is that the groups in those countries, the boys in those countries, let's call them the gatekeepers, they demand for money. If you don't give them money, they won't give you access to lay the cables. And they will, even if you go with police and you lay the cables, they will vandalize them at night. So they formed an association with all the other internet service providers in Kenya. Maybe let's talk of Safaricom, Airtel, Jamii Telecom, all those people who provide internet. And then they've come together and form an association and fronting, saying that this is what we do for you guys, and speaking in one voice and saying, what can we do to address this menace that is a cost to the business, and you don't even know where to provide for that cost. You know, it's almost like we are bribing you to come and do this, you know, and working with the authorities, but actually now talking more from a joint effort instead of, well, me, I know the boys, I'll go and lay the whatever. And he told me that the people who have better connection with the boys, let's call them the boys, because then it's the boys who do it. They're the ones, even if it's your it's your fierce competitor, they're the ones who are being told, well, please go and front the case for us. So, and how can we work better? So I think there exist great opportunities, and I know even in the industries that you work in, you have seen that maybe one or two things that you can collaborate with your competitors. So internally, we are saying that we'll continue collaborating. Collaborating is one of the key aspects for making great teams. And then if we don't do that, when we see that people are not performing, what happens? Really what happens is all this and much more, you know, all this and much more. Really poor positioning of people in the organization, and us not speaking to them much more and saying, hey, what's the problem today? You seem withdrawn. Someone talked about that yesterday. How can we help you? And really just making sure that even the top, you know, the C-suite is really coming out to people and saying, what can we do much more? How can we make this place a better place to work in? What can we do on a personal level to help you? And I think COVID really taught us many, many things this year. And I would like to hear, maybe just before we go to the next slide and start off, is that how have you managed to coach people when you work remotely, especially in the era of remote working? How have your coaching programs progressed? How have your mentoring programs progressed, given that the face-to-face interaction is not as frequent as it was in the past? How have you made sure that it's robust, it's working, and it didn't fizzle out because, well, people went, How have you kept it alive? Anyone? What efforts have you put in place to really drive it? Anyone? Or just we decided let's fizzle it out until it gets back in its own, it will get back. We believe it will. Anyone would like to contribute or even share anything that they have done differently, innovatively, that we can all learn and share? Or what would you like to do? Anyone? Please share. Anyone done things differently during this era of remote working to make sure that your programs remain vibrant and whatever? Or generally, what did you put in place for your teams to feel that there was the connection and the collaboration? What did you emphasize on? Anyone? Sure, we all did various things. Yes, Beatrice, do you want to say something?
Yes, Catherine, I will give it a go. I know, the first time we closed the office was just a dash, It was like in 2 days, we've got to be out, and that's when everybody's discovering people have information on their computers, we are running projects, a number of us, and we need this information, it's on your computers. There's the SharePoint, which is where we could always save our shared data. But then that's a point when you realize so many people have been running projects and this information is not there. So anyway, we've had weekly meetings, and mainly not more of work, but more of people's well-being, where people just are free to share. I was being, say, like the way you started this morning, I was the rest of your day, That's already very good, even if I was closed up when you ask that question, because it's more about me, more about people. So we have meetings where we are talking more about people, and then work taking more, not a backseat because it's still going on, but more of a backseat, because we are all seeing what's happening. We are having quite a number of suicidal cases now, just because people are in their small spaces, and many people do not even know what to do. They do not have an idea. So we have weekly meetings, but in smaller groups, not the whole office. We have the monthly one for the whole office, but the smaller departments have meetings every week. And where in the office, at times people could feel the weekly meetings were not really very welcome. But suddenly you see everybody dashing to the weekly meetings. They want to see a smile on the screen. They want to see Catherine is okay. They want to see Nancy as well. So that for me, I think has worked well, and listening to people sharing and people even opening up more than we could do, even when we could hold meetings physically, because those meetings could be in a dash. I'm dashing back to my table. I need to do this or that. But now people maintain the calmness because there's more in need for me as a person than even for the organization. Yeah, that has worked very well for us. Yeah.
And I can imagine, just appreciating the human element, that it's all about me now, and then about me. Then if I'm well, happy, feeling well grounded in all aspects of my life. I'm not saying that it's perfect, but it also I can be able to pick my work very naturally and run with it. Yeah, very well done.
Sure.
Yeah. Someone else, and maybe what's not working? What do you feel that it's not working?
Yes, Catherine, I know the social bit has really flown out through the window, because then normally when you're in the office of small little girlfriend groups, small little groups, even with some of the men, and like in my case, we had what we call a kitchen crew. You know, every lunch hour we are looking forward just to sit in the cafeteria to one corner, chit chat, talk about ourselves, talk about our families. That is not there, because you see, if we're having a departmental meeting, as much as we are opening up and laughing, there are those niceties that you don't. The touch thing of, the African style, greeting each other, hugging each other, the warmth, it's not there and it's missing. Let's face it. But you know what? For now, we will have to do with what there is. And then, of course, in teams where we have people who naturally tend to hide and run away, there's some better reason now to hide more. You know, my network is not working. I cannot go online. And this happens only conveniently, like when you're asking for a report or so. But you know what? We move around with them. We push them a little more. You check on them personally. You don't wait until the meeting, and things still flow. Of course, not like they could do if it was a physical meeting. Yeah,
I know. Yeah. So people saying, "Oh, I don't have enough bandwidth. My internet is dropping. I can't put on my video. And you can't force people to do it. It's
sure,
adults are complex. But if you have really a good environment, a real good environment, you will not be struggling with some of these things. But indeed, it's a struggle. And what I have seen many organizations now do, and I think it's very timely that we are having this webinar, is that in the area, there's never been a more important time to mainstream mentoring and coaching in your organization, especially if you're working remotely, because we have seen that work is really now a space and it's not a location. You can work from anywhere. You can sit in your village under the tree, as long as you've got internet, you have been enabled with SharePoints and everything, and still be able to deliver. We know that some industries will not have this kind of luxury and setup, and they will need to be physically present at their places of work. So not everybody will fall into that. But there's never been a more urgent time for companies to make sure that they are mainstreaming mentoring and coaching, and in the area of the technical aspects and the people connection aspect is very, very important, especially because of the new people who will be joining your organization, and we are working remotely. What does that mean? How will you get to understand our culture? How will you get to the induction program done and you feel that I've really come to the HR department and I'm settling in well and I'm feeling welcomed and I'm feeling as if I'm part of the team? One of the things that is going to help you is that if you really look at mainstreaming coaching and mentoring in your organization, and mentoring means that you're looking at those programs around settling in people a little bit more, developing programs around that. How is our business going? Mentoring people around our strategy, mentoring people around our values, so that people really get that connection. Because now, if we let people go, and there are some people who will always hide behind the inefficiencies, and we know that XYZ, if they are let loose, they will never, ever, ever be able to deliver. It's important to make sure that now we deliberate and almost make sure that everybody is attached to a mentor. Everybody is attached to a coach with a goal in mind. What are we going to be discussing? What are we going to be getting out of it? So that it's almost, at the back, HR knows that this is important for us. As much as coaching is voluntary, mentoring is voluntary, but where we are right now, if we are going to be working remotely, and having a very conservative approach to going back to the office, because we have seen indeed things are working. And even the surveys that have been done by GOP and local research companies, they're saying that 65% of people say that they would rather work remotely for the rest of their lives. But companies are saying, we are eroding our company culture, our connection is not there. So what are we going to do? You are going to put in place, meanwhile, programs around mentoring and coaching. And also what the big debate now is that as much as vaccination is voluntary, if you're not going to agree to be vaccinated, because some people, and I'm sure you also have friends and maybe family members who come and say, no, I don't want to be vaccinated. I don't want to turn into a magnet. I don't want to die after 2 years. There are all these kind of things, and you can't invalidate that. But what are we going to do as HR people and as management to make sure that if we are going to come back to the office, everybody feels safe? Is vaccine going to be mandatory? Before we get to saying that vaccine is mandatory or whatever it is going to be, how about bringing in programs that nobody feels that they are invading into their personal space around programs like mentoring and coaching? So it's important for us to know how right mentoring and coaching is right now in organization, especially the ones which are working remotely. Yeah. Any question? Any reaction? Any reaction? Conservative approach to going back to work? Okay, yeah, so mainstreaming that. Okay, so how do we enhance mentees' performance? You know, so I'm a mentee or I'm a client or whatever. So what is the sole purpose for us to be able to, how to enhance the mentees' performance is we need to use the feedback. Feedback will continue being one of the ingredients in terms of enhancing our performance at the workplace, even as individuals. So it is important for the mentee to take the feedback that has been given by their colleagues, by their supervisors, by even the organization themselves. Apart from just waiting for that feedback, how about us looking forward to actually asking and soliciting for feedback? Review and goals of accomplishment, performance feedback, and evaluation meetings. And periodically from time to time, like what we have had from Beatrice, every week we are checking in, every month we are checking in on people, and saying, where are we behind our goals? And last year, I think there was a bit of, depending on when your financial year ended, from the time we started working from home, March last year, and if your financial year ended in December, there was a bit of more empathy. There was a bit of more trust that we needed to put on ourselves as an organization and as line managers to know that maybe this is something new. We are all facing the pandemic. We all had to review our business plans. We all had to review our targets, and we all of a sudden, we saw people working extra hours. What did we do about that when we came to evaluate performance? Did we give extra brownie points? Did people say the challenges that they were facing as to why they were not able to meet their targets? Were targets reevaluated and reset at the beginning of the year, so that we really have that conversation around, this is what it really looked like. And by the end of the year, this is what I was able to achieve. I know I had a conversation with women employees, and they told me that this year women needed to get extra bonus. Men on this webinar, that because they were at home and they were managing the children, not that men were not, but, as a mother of the house, you have, you can multitask. The children are here, and then all of a sudden, maybe the ones who got a privilege to do online lessons, you had to log in, you had to do this, you're looking at managing your house manager throughout the day, and women managers, we had a roundtable, and they said the one thing this year that employers need to recognize is the effort that mothers have put. And I have an organization that really looked at it and said, women did much more in terms of putting in extra time to look after their families last year. And they actually gave a bonus for that, small token of more appreciation. Not that men did not, but it was really something that women said, and they were able to justify that and working extra hours and stuff like that. So that was fine. But also, in terms of engagement and in terms of coaching and mentoring, there are also organizations that really knew who their employees were, and employees showed their employers who they were in terms of not being very people-centric at all. Remember when we came in and we all now started working at home, it required that the employer set us up in terms of providing the tools, the accessories that we required. And maybe even at home, you've always had home internet. Wait for yourself, happy, whatever package you have with whatever service provider. And when your employer asks you, do you have internet? I don't have. You have a laptop? No, because you all use desktops at home. I don't have. Even the notebook I had was on a Friday. I left it in the office. Just that gave you the level of disengagement in your organization. And if you had mentorship and leadership and coaching programs, they were not going to work. You needed to reset yourself. And many organizations, there was no need of carrying out employee engagement survey, just for people knowing that. But in the following morning at the coffee station, they would say, I watched Netflix. Did you watch that? Whatever. Hey, and you're wondering, you watch Netflix and now you're telling me that you don't have internet at home. So organizations also had to do a real debrief in terms of, are we people-centric? How is our culture? If people cannot help us in our time of need, where we are saying before we organize ourselves, before we reorganize our budgets, and they won't do this, and people may be in critical positions, that's it. And also how we separated people was very important during that time. If you just let people go, because there were all sorts of things that HR needed to do, make some people redundant, take people on unpaid leave. I don't know, there was force majeure, all those things we've never heard of them. And people were wondering, is this what it leads up to? If you bounce back, you'll not be able to get the good talent that was there. Any reaction around mentoring and coaching during times of great challenges like what we saw the pandemic? There could be another challenge that comes to your organization. What have you learned from this? Are you in that organization where people told you, no, I got no internet, I left my notebook, I have nothing to write on? It was real.
Yeah, I saw lots of that, but then we started paying for people internet so that people don't have any kind of excuses for non-performance.
Yeah.
And the other thing that on the negative side, my boss was reluctant. He's been reluctant to give people off days during national holidays, and you're wondering why. Labor laws have never changed. I tell him, labor laws have not changed. So there's no way you will feel bad about people taking off on a national holiday, and it's clearly stipulated in the calendar as well as in the Employment Act. So those are some of the challenges, and we were lenient in terms of meeting some of their KPIs, especially people in sales, because at some point, like in Nigeria, there was a time that there was a lot of war. I don't know what it was, but they were going quite through a rough patch for about 2 months. So they're not able to go out.
Of the SARS. It was
yes.
the SARS. Yeah.
Yes. So they couldn't work. We had to understand that they could not work, and we gave a waiver on that.
Well done. Yeah. It's amazing. One of the things that we need to keep reminding managers and line managers. And every employee, I'm also an employee in this company. We're also an employee in this company. You know, we are all employees in this company. Be as progressive as you can be in all the programs that you would like to put in your organization. Ask me why. Because me as Catherine, I will benefit. If we need to increase salaries, increase them. Why? Because I'm also benefiting. If we need to take a public holiday and it has been gazetted and it's in the labor laws, you know, we all take a break. If you want to work and you have deadlines, nothing stops you from working from 8 to 10 and taking a break, whether you're just sitting in your house, whether you want to go and visit your relatives or whatever. Please, people, we must remember that we are also employees and everybody is an employee. If we make progressive policies, we all benefit. It's not the people who benefit. I also benefit. Management benefits. So me, I go with my high heels and with my not, and they know it's always progress. Let's talk about progress because I'm also going to benefit from them. So that is one of the things that we need to. It calls for bravery. I like what Nancy you have said. It's anchored in the labor law. So why are we not doing this? So well done, yeah. And I hope that they did understand and give you the opportunity to make sure that everybody got the opportunity to go on whatever. So let us be flexible in terms of if we need to evaluate, even when mentees come and say, well, I need to evaluate that goal. I don't think it is going to work for me. Be authentic and honest enough and come and say that that's going to change. So mentees accomplishment summaries, make sure that you summarize them. And then our learning, development and learning plans, what are some of them? You know, overall, I've come to be mentored. What are my learning and development plans? And if you don't have a mentoring and coaching programs, you can put them as part of your learning and development plans in a way that now, if it comes really now strongly anchored in your organization, now you pull it away and say, this is a stand-alone program and policy that we have in our organization. And this is the purpose, and this is what's supposed to be to achieve. So this is more like, you know, I set the goals, I evaluate the goals, I put up my learning needs, I summarize my overall performance, I get goal setting for the following year, and finally, I also get merit recommendations, you know. And what are some of those merit recommendations that we can put in place? That I am now skilled in this area that I was looking at. I can get into another project. A project is coming up. Can I please be considered? Yes. Maybe now, next year, we shall be taking people in the talent pool. I think I can be, the criteria is being put up, and I think I meet the criteria. I need to be put in the talent pool for succession planning or for critical positions enhancement. So there are many things, you know, merit recommendations. It could be monetary as well. It could be recognition, you know, all those, you know. Let's make sure that even when we do all these coaching and mentoring programs, there is an end to it. And that end, there are some rewards that we put in the end, you know. Thank you for completing it. You've done very well, you know. And this is what you've been able to complete, even a certificate, even just at the town hall meeting, us saying, XYZ has completed, or this cohort has completed. We are very happy with it. And they've been able to do what? They've been able to achieve the objectives, and well done to them. Questions before we go to the principles of designing mentoring process? Anyone? Okay. I'd like someone to read. Unmute yourself. Today you will help me read and facilitate. You can also facilitate, take it up. We're all potential facilitators. I see that. Talk to them and facilitate some of the trainings. Principles of design mentoring process. Someone can read just the way it is on the slide.
The mentoring process should be designed, planned, and implemented, keeping the following principles in mind. Mentoring should motivate the mentee, invite active participation of the mentee, provide continuous and constructive feedback, fulfill purpose of mentoring to meet organizational goal, provide opportunity for growth and development for the mentee or of the mentee.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well done. Yeah. Anybody who would like to pick anything from there? It's really straightforward, you know. It should be able to motivate me, you know. So I took up a new mentor. I have a mentor who's very young. They're like maybe, I don't think they're even 30 years now. So during the pandemic, and maybe you've heard me say this, I like gardening. I like gardening, and now for the and I've not even met this coachee, the farmer coachee. I'd not met, you know. So it's really sometimes just say God is a God of order, you know. During COVID, I said, oh, let me actualize my hobby and take it to the next level. So I took up gardening very seriously, you know, plants, flowers, hedges, everything that would go green went green for me. So I looked for a mentor and I started asking, and I got this guy who was recommended, a very good botanist, did degree and whatever, very passionate about flowers. So he's my mentor now, you know, and we've done some remarkable work around green hedges, plants. I know now all sorts of plants, which are indoor plants, outdoor plants, you know. So he really, what I'm trying to say is that he's a real good motivator. What have you learned this week? Which flower died? I said, well, they all seems to be dying, but I also know that there are some time even in the year, whether around October, November, the flowers just bloom, you know, whether you are taking really good care of them, but of course, some seasons you really have to show extra care. So, you know, invite to actively participate with the mentee, you know, and this one is very practical, what we do, what I learned from him, giving me continuous and constructive feedback. No, that can't happen. That's not the manure to use. That's not the compost. You have to look for compost made of this, made of that, you know, you can make your own compost. It's hard work. It's really hard work for you to get to where you want to be. Anything that you want to achieve and become an expert in really takes a lot of hard work. Provide opportunities for growth and development of your mentee internally in your organizations. What opportunities are you providing for growth and development to mentees? What are some of them? What are some of them we can share? We can share. Mm-hmm.
For us, we have special assignments whereby we engage them. They are free to think about solutions that we can roll out.
Yeah.
I mean, the financial sector, you know, the Bitcoin crypto space, which is new.
Oh, really?
So yes.
Yes. Is it for real?
Yes, my salary is paid in Bitcoin.
Nancy, wait. You guys, we have to stop and hear about Bitcoin and how are you guys in Ireland, and the way it is called, and that's the only place that the cryptocurrency can be mined and put and stuff and everything.
Anyone can mine cryptocurrency from wherever they are. Yes, but we use it as a medium of payment. And we also offer a platform where people can trade on that particular, they can trade their cryptos or Forex.
Okay, so you need to mentor us on cryptocurrency, because you have to convince me how I'm going to go to Naivas and say, I have a virtual coin. This is money, and they can't see it and whatever. Interesting. I'll look for you.
There's actually even a card now. If I transfer, yeah, it is okay. Yes. So what was I saying? Yes. So we encourage people to come up with ideas, innovative ideas around the crypto space that we implement. So we vet these ideas, and then we put a prize to it, a gift that if your idea is the best, then this is how much you will win. The second prize is this, the third prize is this. So they're able to come up with solutions, and we've implemented others.
Fantastic.
So, yes, we call it special assignments. Yes.
Special assignment and brainstorming sessions. So it becomes very innovative and very creative in the organization. So you're in the fintech space. Yeah. Wow.
Yes, fintech. Yes. And actually, you can actually also earn as we get, there's actually a commission that you can earn recurring as the project is running, so that the employees can feel that they have ownership within the business. So it's not just a one-time payment. It is you being part of the business and earning over time.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. Anybody else providing mentoring? What kind of opportunities for growth and development in your organization for mentees and for your coaches? Anyone? Anyone? Or we say that I've already provided you with a mentor. That's good enough. You know, we must go a little bit more over and above our call of duty to provide those opportunities that really come up. You know, special projects, recognition.
There's also mobility programs.
Yeah,
I was working for a company that was doing hardware the bottling plant. So it would wash bottles, it's an engineering, sector, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of machinery that was involved. And the thing is that we could not get labor that would service these machines when they are delivered here from a company in Germany.
Yeah.
So what we would do, we had something called a mobility program. So we would have someone from Germany coming into Kenya. They learn the language and they learn how we do things. And then we would have people from the Kenyan office, mostly the engineers. We send them so that they can also have practical knowledge on how to handle the equipment. So we called it a mobility program, that one.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Access their cultural background. That's what Nancy is saying, learn the culture of this of organization, of the people, for you to be able to implement some of the programs that we put in place. And that's good, yeah. So let's try to make sure that for continuous motivation and for double motivation, you motivate me, you create an environment that really motivates me, we now come up with double motivation. So mentoring should also provide opportunities for applying mentoring advice, include on the job training opportunities, working, you can second people to another department. You can give people an opportunity to go and work in other countries. You can give people some special assignments that they're able to work on. You can give people more challenging work, even in the department, as the line manager, just to make sure that really people are utilizing the skills and the competencies that they are learning in the mentoring programs. Try to include away from the job training opportunities, include a proper and effective implementation of a mentoring plan to be delivered in an open, efficient, and consistent manner. That is sometimes one of the things that really organizations really fail to do. We almost feel like training is also mentoring and coaching, especially coaching, is only for the selected few. And I see that a lot is that coaching is first provided to the C-suite before it actually comes to the, let's talk a little bit about mentoring plans should be delivered in an open, efficient, and consistent manner. Sometimes employees don't feel that this really works. Is that true? Or am I far-fetched? Is it true?
That's true, Catherine. That's true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And why is that?
I think Some organizations, as you say in the C-suite, there is what do I call it? There isn't fairness among employees. We still want to carry our titles in the workplace. And that's not to say the title should not be there, but there should be seen to be a lot of fairness so that everyone feels part of this organization. Because for us as an organization to be hiring people, it's because all these people are needed, just like the fingers of our hand. They are not equal in height, but we need each one of them. If any of us trying chopping the smallest finger, you realize that it was very necessary and there's a role that it plays. So there is that coaching and mentoring has been taken to be a class thing. So then our managers, our senior guys can have it, but you people down there, when do you need it? You're not doing much for the organization. You do not need it. So I think it has to do with the titles, with feeling good. And we quickly forget in this, we are really, really hurting the organization. Because the people down there are the people actually pushing the organization. For you as a manager to be effective, you need all those people under you. That's what constitutes your work as the manager. So yeah, Catherine, I don't think it has anything to do with it's just for the chosen few. No, for me, coaching and mentoring should be for everyone.
Everyone, very true. Thank you, Beatrice. Someone else? Where sometimes it is not delivered in an open, efficient, and consistent manner. The other day, someone told me, let me tell you, you think that the millennials are the ones who have a sense of entitlement. In fact, they don't, not at all. They told me jobs in Kenya and all over the world, even when we thought that you can leave a job today and get one tomorrow, it is not there anymore. Is the C-suite is the one that feels extremely entitled. Look at their behavior and look at the way they do things. You know, they don't think they are, but they actually are the ones who act most self-entitled. And I was taken aback, you know, what do you mean? He gave me all these kind of examples, you know, all the nice programs, you know. Let's go to where are we going for management and leadership training. We'll be flying into South Africa, to Johannesburg University. Where will we be going next year? We'll be going to the board, the SMT annual meeting. We'll be at the Maldives. You know, it's fine. By the way, they set they're the ones who set the tempo for the organization where we are going to be. And the entitled rank comes with privileges and ranks. That's what I said. But they said, if when we asked to go to Naivasha and for team building, or even go to Diani, the budgets are scrutinized and over-scrutinized and over-scrutinized. And whilst we can all afford to fly, we are told, no, take the train. You know, so things like that. And whilst there will be no beating of a heartbeat, you know. And how do we convey such things in organizations? I keep on saying, and I know all of us can contribute to this, when C-suite comes and says, we want to go for a coaching program, make it extremely difficult for them. And this is how you make it extremely difficult. Let them know that what coaching is all about and what they will be expected to do when they come back. You know, that it is a skill that they have to practice every day. It is a skill that they have to show return on investment for the people that they will have coached. And let them write it down. I mean, let them make a commitment on pen and paper. None of them will ever put it down. Just tell them it's something that is important. I feel that all of you need to go for coaching, but before we agree, before we now start looking for the provider and what it is, paint for them the real picture. because they all go for these coaching programs and they never come back and mainstream it in the organization. That's the problem we are having. And why? Because they are so busy just looking at the strategy of the organization and trying to lead, to provide leadership. So it just fizzled out, it fizzles out. So we have everybody has gone on this 700,000 Kenya shilling 700,000 program for a few weeks, and they won't practice it. How about us bringing it to the line managers and then saying, how about now, if you feel that it's really going to be stressful for you in this period to be able to mainstream it, I would like us to think about the people who really are in need of it. And the people who are in need of it are not even your senior managers. The people who are in need of really mainstreaming coaching and making coaching successful in the organization are the middle managers and the junior managers, because that is where the rubber meets the road. You all agree? That is where the rubber meets the road. Once the CEO goes, unless it's a deliberate effort like the former CEO of Pepsi, who used to coach and recoach, he used to spend all his hours coaching employees because he knew, if I coach, this is what's going to happen for my organization. It's going to remain to be one of the Fortune 500 companies. But if we don't, at any level, whether it's a multinational, whether it's an SME, whether it's government, whatever it is, the senior management team, research has shown that they are too busy providing leadership that they forget that coaching is an important aspect. So once they coach, once the middle managers and the junior managers get coached, now it starts, the bottom is being coached, and they are using coaching to actually have conversations with the seniors. Then it's just now, the gap now starts narrowing, and we just have a seamless coaching culture in our organization. And then it's open, it's effective, and inconsistent in organizations. So reaction, take-ons, or we can't say no to them. They want to go to the Maldives for coaching. We just say, okay, it's fine, please go. Can you make it difficult in a way that they reflect back and see? Is it possible? Someone please share. Anyone? Please share. Is it possible? I'm posing it there.
I think that where in instances where we develop calendar of events as HR at the beginning of the year that are strictly aligned to strategy and aligned to everything that the organization wants to meet, then I think we can control some of these things. Because most of the time I feel that when people just decide that they want to go for coaching session in Maldives or wherever, it's never thought through, because there has to be a budget. It has to be defended. Where will this money come from? And if you people are going for this coaching, what are the benefits and when will the rest of the staff go? But it is usually more beneficial where programs are all-encompassing, meaning all the managers and the employees, they go together. Because I used to work for another NGO where we used to have 2 seminars in a year, and we would go as staff and management. So we would have sessions where the leaders go, they convene themselves, and then in other sessions we convene together. Other sessions it's probably the employees themselves, so that they can also talk about things that are affecting them. So I think if we are proactive in making decisions, then we may avoid situations where people just go to spend and there's no outcome from whatever they're going to do. The outcome will not be visible. Yes.
The outcome, the input has to be very well discussed, deliberated. The output must be seen, be seen at the end of every period, whatever it is. The thing is that people do not want to work extra hard for those results. So they'd rather, even when you tell them, this is what's going to be, they say, no, okay, I'm not ready. And they can't be not too ready for a long time, because you know that this is going to be benefiting the organization. But why don't create a bigger pool of people who are able to coach internally, a bigger pool compared to just the C-suite, which sometimes they would love, but they just don't do it. Unfortunately, it fizzles out. And since it is a skill that you have to practice every day, you know, not using the word why. In coaching, we never use the word why. Why don't we use why? Why are you late?
People become defensive when you use why.
Exactly. People become defensive compared to saying, Catherine, I see you coming late to the office every day. The last 2 weeks you've been coming in late. Is there a reason that, what would be the reason? What would you like us to discuss? Very different, you know. They will even, sometimes it's just like, well, these 2 weeks it's really been heavy on me. I just sleeping in a little, getting in, waking up, you know, or just they tell you something very different that, wow, you should have come to me earlier and something. But if you ask them why, and maybe they have something that is really weighing them down, they won't. You've already judged them, you know. Why should I be telling you, you know? And I've been trying to finish this project for a long time. I know it's important for us, and I've been burning the midnight oil. And you say, oh, okay, fine, no problem. We'll make whatever. But of course, if you're an organization that really looks at the clock, 8 to 5, you must be at your desk by 5, by 8, and concentrating on work or something like that. You might want to have a different conversation around, okay, fine, maybe you can come in at that 8:30, and how about pushing it to 5:30? If you're that kind of company, again, I don't see how 30 minutes would ever make a big difference to your bottom line if someone is actually doing something to help your organization. So it depends. We have to respect protocol, we have to respect company policy, and we have to look for flexible ways to accommodate everyone. Okay, so try not to use the word why today. Even when you get home with your children, the first thing mothers do is, why isn't your homework not done? Why are your shoes at the doorstep? Why isn't your home? Where is your mothers? How will you go to heaven? You'll see heaven on view, Sasa, including me, you know. So it's whatever compared to how was school today? Is homework done? Is there anything that you really stretched your imagination today? And the conversation is very different. Okay, it was okay. Why? It's okay. I'm going to do it. Yeah. So very different. But we use it all the time. Okay. Planning for mentoring others. How do we plan? Any question? Any reaction there? Any question? Any reaction? Okay. So how do we plan on mentoring and coaching others? Okay. Someone who'd like to read for us? Mentoring for coaching and mentoring others. Just read what it is on the screen, please. Someone unmute. Yeah, thank you, Ruth. You can mute yourself. Hi, Ruth, you've raised your hand. Okay. Ruth, are you able to unmute yourself? Okay, let me read. So how do we plan all this for it to come into place? Is define where employee is currently at their mentoring process. Maybe you've engaged them, or we're in the process of making sure that that is being done. What positions are you mentoring for or coaching for in your organization? You know, positions that you will make sure, deliberate, making sure that there's continuity, or maybe you've seen that there's a competency gap, and those positions are held by people, but you have looked at business need and saying, these positions that we have in the organization really are falling behind. Or maybe we are developing programs, and these programs are, we are developing new products and services for our clients, and we need to put in this kind of competencies. And those competencies are being held by some people. We see that these are the people who will be working on these lines of new products. How about mentoring them and making sure that they are ready? What key skills have you identified for mentoring for higher positions? What is the experience, education, and training schedules? What has changed since your last mentoring review? What has changed inside your company, which might alter your mentoring plans? So why is it important for us to ask what is the experience, education, and training schedules? Why is it important? Redemptor, Lillian, I'm just looking at people, Shayla, Kish, Ruth, Lydia, Carol, Victor, Benjamin, Janet. Anybody can unmute themselves, Victor? Anyone? What is the reason as to why we need to have to take into consideration what are people's experiences, work experience, education and training schedules when we are planning to coach and mentor in the organization? Remember where we said about making sure that we are motivating people, we are mentoring them for them to be more productive. We are taking into consideration their level so that we also know what kind of programs and schedules that we will put for them so that we are in the same space, you know, so that we talk the same language, so that we understand where they are. Because how you mentor a driver who whose highest qualification is a certificate in defensive driving or has finished their high school is very different from how you mentor a master's student or even a PhD graduate. So we must be able to recognize that our level of education, our experiences, our work experience really plays a big role in how successful our mentoring programs are going to be. How has the current candidates performed till to date? What jobs have changed and how have they changed since your last mentoring process? Define the aim of your mentoring process in light of your current mentoring plans. What can you identify if coaching efforts do not work out as expected? What will be the scenarios be in 3 to 5 years of your candidates? And what will key people what will be done for them? You remember I said, if you haven't identified in your organization how it looks for everybody, even a rough idea, 5 years from now, we see XYZ being able to hold this position or being able to do this. 2 years from now, ABC should be doing this. Even a rough idea, then we must start having those conversations. What openings will you mentor for to fill the due attrition, promotion, and expansion of your business? What new disciplines will your company require, and what will you mentor them for? What are some of the real critical positions are real now in what are we upskilling for? In all industries, what is the new vibe around HR in recruitment? What kind of skills are we looking for across board now? What new disciplines will your company require? Whether you're in whatever industry, finance, manufacturing, education, NGO, you know, what kind of people are we looking for now when you're recruiting?
I think people who are agile and adaptive, and people who are good communicators and who can develop partnerships and collaborations.
Very true. Those are some of the new disciplines, you know, and we're also looking at people who are really tech savvy, the use of artificial intelligence, all those kind of new disciplines are coming into play, that because that is where the world is headed, and it's already there anyway. Who will be involved in the coaching process and what it will be doing, what new opportunities have emerged that may lead to change in the coaching plan, objective or tactics, when will each part of the coaching process start and end, and how will you judge their progress? How long do you think, apart from a manager having coaching skills and using coaching style as their way of leading the team, you know, asking questions, probing, giving people the opportunity to go and look for their own solutions, empowering them, making sure that they are sustaining. But let's say we have programs, you're going for a coaching program, you're going for a mentoring program. In retrospect, how long should this last? How many sessions or how many months should it last, ideally, in your opinion? Should it go on forever, infinity, or should we put some, what is it based on what we have been discussing? Setting goals, reviewing, giving feedback. How many coaching sessions should someone go for, in your opinion? Anyone? Anyone who's gone for coaching or mentoring? Or it's ad hoc, as and when required?
For me, I think people are different in terms of how quickly they can learn and you know, pick up new ideas and all that. So I believe that the mentor needs to continuously assess the mentee to just know how quickly they should graduate them, or how much more effort they need to put in their coach, in their mentorship. Yeah.
Okay. So it depends from individual to individual. Okay. So, okay, that's one suggestion. Someone else? How long?
I'm thinking the mentorship relationship should not be too long. It should be defined at the beginning of the mentoring or the coaching process, depending on what the problems that we need to solve or the skills that we need to impart look like. But then it should not be so long. And if it is too long, then we need to divide it into like steps that probably from this month to this month will be handling this particular skill. And then when that is done, again, you go back, you review, and then you get, maybe there could be a break so that someone doesn't get bored. So I'm thinking if it is supposed to be a long journey, then if we put it into steps and then there's some breaks in between before the next skill is introduced, then that would be helpful.
I think it should be time bound for two reasons around is that we have a clear goal of what we want to discuss, what we want to achieve, and there are milestones, there's evaluation, there's feedback, there are real practical sessions. You go back and you practice and you come discuss with your mentor, how is it going, with your coach, how is it going, what are some of the challenges and stuff like that. If the relationship goes on for too long, where there is a formal engagement, then the person, the mentee or the coach starts being very dependent on the mentor or the coach, and that is always a big problem around that. I'm not saying that you cannot graduate, and I see that even in my own, like we have a formal engagement, and we said this is what we want to achieve. We are very focused on what needs to be done. Even when a manager gives you work and say, this is a project and this is how it's going to be, it doesn't mean that we are so stuck that there's no flexibility for a good laugh, for a good coffee in between. Let's have coffee and have a banter talk. How is, let's say we enjoy the same kind of hobby. We can talk about the hobby. Which book are you reading? Hey, okay, how is it? How is the review? Or something like that. It doesn't also mean that that cannot develop into a good friendship, you know, where we can call up on each other and say, hey, Nancy, how is it going? And I need help in this, you know, and it's not even related to what I was mentoring you on or what I was coaching you on, you know, something. It can develop into a friendship, a mutual nice friendship where you can call upon. And that's what we want it to be. So there's that continuous feeding from each other. And some people become better than you, which is really nice. That's what we also want in teams, that as the manager deliberately mentors their people, deliberately coaches their people, they become better, and the kind of conversations, you know, are really natural, and there's no undercurrent. People can say as it is. People can continue. We finished that, we've debriefed, and whatever, we've gone on to the big things. I mean, the other things that we're supposed to be doing. But there needs to be a process that says, well, how are we faring on? And sometimes it's not going well. We need to sever this relationship. You know, we cannot continue like this. So, because then we need to make sure that we focus on the goals, and we also don't create dependency, but of course, meaning that we are human beings. We like to have that relationship going on, okay? So sometimes in coaching, we say 6 sessions should be able to address the challenge. If we stretch it, maybe 8 sessions. In mentoring, sometimes we say, well, I'll mentor you for the next 1 year. We will have scheduled meetings and stuff like that. So it's very well articulated, and you might want to have some flexibility around that if someone has not achieved what needs to be achieved. Sometimes it's also because of monetary constraints. We have to say that I have a budget to take our middle management team. We are going to attach them to coaches, and each coaching session is coaching X amount of money, let's say 20,000. So 20 times 6, that amount of money. Is it worth it? It must be worth it, you know. So it's something that we should not take lightly when we implement some of these programs. We must have the basis of what we want to do, and we must also have the end in mind. Not saying, oh, we will see how it goes in the end in mind. No, we should never start the programs on that basis. How will you judge the candidates? How will you judge if the candidate demonstrates progress towards meeting the coaching requirements you have established? Of course, you will have goals and whatever. I'll not read all of them. You can always go back to the LMS and look at these. What mentoring alternatives can you offer those who are not meeting expectations? Again, reevaluate. Look at it, whether it is working, whether someone is still interested, whether it is goals that are not ideal for them, whether you two don't have a chemistry. So things can change. Can you imagine if your mentor, or your coachee comes and tells you, I have something to tell you. 2 years ago, and you've contracted and you should be keeping things confidential. This is very far-fetched and a bad example. 2 years ago, I killed someone in my village and dumped them in a faraway forest. And what would you do? You're the coach. So you're having this, and it's terms, and you're having a real deep conversation and say, what would you do? and you've signed a confidentiality clause.
Yes, Catherine, just to come in, I said earlier when we were introducing ourselves, I'm also in counseling. In counseling, actually, we give a clause against the confidentiality. If it's something that's going to hurt you or hurt someone else, you will amply just let it out. You see, that's beyond anything that you can also keep as Catherine, that somebody killed and the body is hiding somewhere and this person is being looked for. So I think at the contracting stage, I don't know what the mentors and the coaches line says about that, but in counseling, that's a no-go. It will have to be let out, yeah.
Okay, great. Nancy, what does coaching ethics say in terms of confidentiality when you're contracting?
That confidentiality must be maintained. It has to be maintained. You cannot discuss anything that has been discussed within that relationship. You cannot discuss it. And sometimes you get into a situation where someone tells you something sensitive about their, maybe their line manager. And as a coach, you are not supposed to disclose this to the probably it is these people who've contracted you to get into a coaching relationship with their staff, and they're telling you stuff about these particular managers. So in that case, usually what I do is to get these people to see how they can work around whatever it is that is not good with this other party, because there are things you cannot control, and again, you cannot disclose. So it is for these people to come up with ways. So if it is sexual harassment, for example, it is, let them talk about it. It will not come from you. And, you know, the way forward, how will I be able to tackle this issue with my boss as Nancy? You know, you just get them to think about the same along that line, because one, it is an offense. It should not continue. But the questions that you'll ask this particular person, then it will allow them to think about the way forward and the actions that they will take by themselves without you disclosing whatever it is to the other party. So there has to be confidentiality, and in case there is something that is so serious like this one, then it is them to come up with ways on how to work around it and how to talk about it to the other party or to someone else in the organization.
Yeah. So it's career things around. You've come, and one of the things that really brought you here is that I love the organization I work for. I really enjoy my role. It's interesting, it's challenging, but the person that is driving me up the wall is my line manager. You know, how do I really talk to them? Because this and this and this, and those are deep conversations around coaching. You know, leave a conversation where there is this is easy, get it out of the way, anybody can do it. I'm planning to, there's a marketing director's position is coming up in another 6 months, and I want to be ready. I've been in the talent pool. I see 3 of us trying to get to that position, and I want to be ready. I'm looking for a coach to make sure that I'm ready. That's a small one, you know. This other one, like what Beatrice has said, anything in coaching or mentoring or counseling, or even in any other intervention, either another training, and someone tells you anything that goes against the law, you must break the confidentiality clause. You know, you must be able to say that this is against the law. And of course, as a mature human being, you will know and come and say, no, this cannot continue to happen. And unfortunately, we'll have to be making a report on this. And both of us, I've come in, whatever, we'll have to break the confidentiality clause, we'll have to whatever. And you will know those kind of things. Even as a coach and a counselor, you know, by now, you know this is a counseling problem. You're not able to handle it. give it the right intervention. Let people go for the right intervention. This is a real coaching opportunity. Take it as it is. This is a mentoring opportunity. Take it to a mentor. So it's important for us as professionals to know, to understand, clearly define what is counseling, what is coaching, and what is mentoring. Then we'll be able to really support people in the organizations. I'm sure many times is in your organization, someone has come and told you a personal problem at deep level, and you're thinking, well, your work is to empathize and to listen attentively. Listening attentively is putting down everything and saying, I have 5 minutes for you, or even 10 minutes for you, or whatever minutes you have for them, and really making sure that you have listened. And if you don't have a solution, please don't try and give a solution. What you say is that this one I'm not able to handle. I have had it. However, I am going to have to refer you. If your medical or wellness programs have those kind of interventions, I suggest that you do that. And I will work with you to make sure that you're getting the right support. Mentoring. I think, Redemptor, you have, who's not muted? Who's not muted?
Which was planning to
how do I mute all?
A team of 4.
How do I mute all? Someone mute, please. Who's not muted?
That's Ruth. I'm not sure you reach her to mute herself, or are you able to mute her?
I think I'm able to mute. I think she's muted.
I think that group.
How do I mute all? Okay, let me see whether I'm able to do that. Analyst, mute all. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay, great. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to be able to do what? We need to be able to ask for the right interventions. And as you practice, then you know that this is what it is. So always do that. And even as a coach, I have come across and say, no, this is not a coaching thing. You just need a mentor, and you should be good to go. And if you're able to provide that, why not, and go with it. But anything that really requires disclosure, and you will know disclosure. Again, you can also fall in love. Do people fall in love? People fall in and out of love, don't they? People do. And in that whatever, then you need also to sever the relationship and say, it's now too close. We'll not be able to achieve what we are trying to achieve, and I will pass you on to someone else. People also, people don't show commitment, and you come and say, there's no commitment from you. Unfortunately, I have to whatever. Or even you can have someone in counseling and in coaching, and you are going through the same particular issue at that time. You will not be able to be a good coach to them. You'll not be able to be a good counselor. So what you do is allow me to pass you to someone else, or I'm sure I can recommend someone, or I can recommend other people who will be able to support you and do that. So please be very honest around the ethics of the professions of the profession of coaching and the profession of coaching and counseling. Very, very important. Okay, so elements. Any reaction there? Any reaction? Any reaction? Okay, feel free to unmute yourself or in time in. So elements of an effective mentoring process, and you can put this in place at your workplace. We've actually gone through that, so I will not whatever. Role call, clarification, goal assignment, ongoing feedback, ongoing performance, development, setting goals, monitoring, mentoring support, standardization, and training the coaches or the mentees. What is standardization? What do we mean by standardization? What do we mean by standardization? Anyone? Standardization?
I'm thinking, I think that probably the tools and the methods, they need to be the same, used, like a framework.
Exactly, a framework, yeah, definitely. From it's standardized, everybody knows what is expected. Everybody is aware of the process, that there's no one process of one cadre of staff, and there's another process for another cadre of staff. Of course, they could be, the outcomes could be different for every other person, but the process, the framework is actually standardized, you know, and that's when we are able to achieve that, that discussion we had earlier around transparency, equity, and consistency. Who gets coached, who does not get coached, who gets mentored, who does not get mentored. If we mainstream coaching and mentoring in our organization, that line managers are expected to do that, then they also do understand the framework. They have been given the right tools and equipment. They have been equipped with the training and the support, you know, that is required, so that one manager does not say, okay, that one, it's not important for me. I'm doing my work. This is extra work that you have given me. If we say that this is a culture that we have in this organization, we use mentoring and coaching to improve performance, then it should be standardized and everybody should be able to adhere to it. So please remember that standardization is very important for you to achieve the results that you want, that the results will not be, there will be no disparities in the results when you are asking for reviews. Continuous open communication, mutual trust and confidence, reliability, and mentoring review. We cannot overemphasize this: continuous open communication, and also mutual trust and confidence. Yeah. Any question? Any question around the elements of effective mentoring and coaching processes? Any question there? Feedback? Feedback? Okay. So let's move on. If there's no question there, I would like to ask, what are some of the things, the factors that affect mentoring and coaching process or success? What are some of the key factors? They could be as many as we are in this class. Please feel free to unmute yourself. Factors affecting success of mentoring and coaching process in the organization. If it was in CHRP, this question will definitely come. I don't know in which unit. In coaching, if you are doing coaching. So this is part of, it's like a refresher to your CHRP. Anyone? There could be as many as we are, the 30 of us in the class.
Good morning.
Morning.
It could be probably the organizational culture.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not aligned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was just one of my suggestions.
Yeah. Culture not aligned, very true. I agree. Someone else? Everybody get an opportunity to speak and even give an example, even if a factor has been mentioned.
Venue.
Venue? Did someone say venue? Did you say venue?
No, I was saying maybe lack of time and resources.
Lack of?
Time and resources.
Yeah, lack of time and resources, very true. Yeah, lack of time, people always cite time. I'm busy, people should be knowing what they need to do. Yes, lack of time and resources. Someone else?
life and personal circumstances of the person being coached or mentored.
Life and personal circumstances. What do you mean like that?
So, for example, if the person has a sick child, or maybe they have had to bury someone, or they have someone admitted critically ill in hospital, it does affect their status and mental state when they're attending the coaching or mentoring session. So it needs to be put into consideration.
The current wellness status of the individual, the mentee or the coachee, during that time, how are they, if there are things that are really weighing them down, they will not be able to be, successful in the coaching and mentoring sessions. Yeah, totally agree. Someone else can be as many as we are. Now we are at 3. I'm waiting for 25 more. Them on the chat here. Lack of communication. Thank you, Agre. Communication of goals and of coaching and mentoring and counseling exercise. That's very true. Lack of clear goals. Someone else?
When you say resistance from senior management, can it be a factor?
Say that again, Nancy. When we say?
When you say resistance from the senior management.
Resistance from senior management, there's no buy-in, then there's no way that your coaching and mentoring programs are going to be successful in the organization. Yeah. Lack of buy-in. I agree.
And also experiences from past coaching and mentoring programs. So if it was not, if people did not see value, then they will not see the need to go through it. If there was value, then there will be an appetite to uptake future programs.
Exactly, very true. If it was mainstream very badly, if any sort of change in the organization, you need to really understand, why are we doing it? How is it going to be done? Who is going to be doing it? Are we ready for it as an organization? Does everybody understand? How does success look like for us? But if it was just thrown in, it's the latest thing in town we hear, coach, mentor. After all, it's in your JD. It never worked. And then we say, did it work? Leave it. And then we want to bring it again. People will come in with suspicion, and we have to do more work to show the value and why we are getting back there. Yeah. So past positioning. Here's someone else. We are moving. We are at 8, and I'll ask people to recap because when you go to, when they ask you, so SMT, you want to, what are some of the factors that could hinder this? And you say this, and this, and this, and this, and that, they think, oh, you're spot on. And then you turn it back to them and say, how these challenges that we think are going to actually some of these challenges that we have. And then you start discussing it, and all of a sudden they say, I think it's something good. Let's go on with it. Power of sharing, a win for one is a win for all. That's what I keep on saying. Someone else? Even things around trust and confidentiality, if anything, then just we don't trust, we don't have an open culture had already been, our culture is not open to such things. We don't trust, and we feel that people don't hold confidentiality in this organization. Someone else? Look at the chats coming in as well. Yeah, commitment has to be there. Yeah, thanks, Felicitas. Lack of commitment. The program, and also to the people who are coaching, and also to the people who are going to be coached or mentored. Yeah, commitment. Something else? We are moving well. Anything else you see? Even think about your organization. What are some of the things that you can see that would really could hinder these programs coming into organization? Yeah, there could be other many, So apart from that, then the success or failure of the mentoring process depends upon several things which we have actually highlighted and discussed. The mentor should use positive motivational techniques to help the mentee be happy. Now that's when we mainstream the program, and satisfied with positive and constructive feedback to build rapport with the mentee. It will help the mentee also be more satisfied with the mentoring advice given. It will help the mentee be more satisfied with the mentor. It will make them more likely to accept their meet performance improvement and objectives. Once we have actually looked at these bigger challenges that would occur as we are bringing in a mentorship program, or even in the middle of a mentorship program. Okay. Mentor and mentee should both participate in mutually setting specific goals and objectives. Mentee should focus on discussing them and providing solutions to problems that hamper the mentee's current job and performance. Most of the time, even when we go to meetings, what happens? We like to discuss outside the main agenda because the stories are always sweeter, until the chairman clears their throat and say, let's get back to the real basis of our discussion. We've diverted too much. Let's get back. So even in mentoring and coaching, we must be very clear that we need to keep to the goal of what has led us, so that we don't lose focus with all these other things that can cloud what we are supposed to be achieving. Both mentor and mentee should employ more thought and preparation before the feedback session, because feedback can be lethal. Do you see how people give feedback in this country? Even the president had to come out of social media handles. He didn't have the nerve, and his heart was going to fail him. Also, I think feedback sessions should be really, really well structured, so that people don't feel attacked. And now we are moving from criticism to critiquing what's happening. We are not criticizing, and there's a lot of discussion. Please go out and just find out the difference between that. And it's really interesting to what we can do when we become an organization that doesn't criticize to an organization that really critiques. And we are not criticizing the person. We are critiquing the problem that is at hand, and I'm giving you feedback. Half the time is that when we have already looked at you and say, you keep doing this all the time, So we are focusing on the person instead of focusing on the problem. Okay. So I won't go through this again. We've had a good discussion around how do we set up a mentoring or coaching process, unless you see anything that really pulls your eye, like identifying expected behaviors or competencies. What are expected behaviors? Identify expected behaviors and competencies. What are behaviors and competencies? How am I supposed to behave?
By the time we are coming up with the coaching or a mentoring program, we have to identify these behaviors they're talking about. They could be the culture that the organization wants all the employees to align to. And in terms of competencies is that these are skill gaps, or probably we want to get into another space. So what competencies do we need to develop for us to be able to get into the next stage, maybe in the organization? Probably we are growing, probably we are getting into a different geographical location, or probably, new products and all that. So it's about, I think, culture and lack of skill. The lack of skill could be either one, it's a skill gap, or two, we want to get to a certain space as an organization. So we need to equip ourselves now to be able to get there.
Exactly, yeah. Expected behaviors around our culture getting into a new geographical location, for example. But if we are just, we are still in our organization, what are the behaviors that we have put out around our values? Those are the expected behaviors. Respect. How does respect look out for us? If we say one of our values is professionalism, what kind of behaviors have we defined around that? Competencies, again, like Nancy has said, is that what am I really looking out for? What are some of the competencies that I need to develop for every position in our organization? If you are a line manager, what are the core competencies that you need to have? And if you don't have them, and you're already now expected to mentor and to coach, what are some of those things that we need to support you with? Not just understanding what mentoring and coaching is, but you have not been able to, one of the, let's say, key competencies for a line manager is communication, good communication skills, clear communication. And does it mean that, is it your writing, is it your verbal communication? Is it your non-verbal communication? And we have identified that it's not a real strong competency for you, that you are lacking. And we start helping you build that competence. A competence, another one maybe is conflict management. And we see that you shy away from addressing conflicts with your team. And that is a key competence for you as a line manager. And we start developing that, so that when you get into these programs that you're expected to lead people, you're expected to mentor, and you're expected to coach, then you build all those competencies and you're able to be a much better manager in delivering these programs. Okay, anything there that you see? Okay, so develop individual development plans for employees. That's important. Develop and implement, all of them are important. Develop and implement mentoring programs, assist with leadership transition and development, develop an evaluation plan for leadership roles. Okay, so steps in developing the mentoring and the coaching process. Any question there? So when we look at the process as it is, what would you say are some of the characteristics of an efficient monitoring and mentoring process? Characteristic. I put them up and then we can, whatever. Someone can read for us so that I'm not the only one talking all the time. Just to jog your mind, 5 minutes. Stretch. I can see people getting tired. Stretch a little bit. Put up your hands, drink your cup of water, stretch a little, Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Great. Characteristics of an efficient monitoring process. Someone can read for us. So we've put together. Just unmute yourself, please. Anyone who's willing to read for us? That's what is on the screen.
Hi, Kathleen.
Yeah, hi.
You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, so characteristics of an efficient mentoring process. Clear, elevating goal, result-driven structure, competent members. An efficient, let's see.
Yeah, efficient, yeah.
An efficient mentoring process provides support from both inside and outside. It needs to meet the individual needs and of its mentees in order to achieve there's something else there.
Organization goals.
Yes.
Yeah. Continue.
Unified commitment, collaborative element, standards of excellence. An efficient, it's the same. An efficient mentor, it's the same.
It's the same, yeah.
External support and recognition, principled leadership, active participation.
Exactly. Let's continue.
Goals are clearly understood, innovative thinking, active listening and feedback. Taking initiative, trust and respect, risk-taking. Yes. Supportive, effective communication, realistic goals and deadlines.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. If anything, these are the characteristics also of a good coach and characteristics of a good mentor, characteristics of a good leader is what you would say, and also characteristics of an efficient monitoring, mentoring and coaching process in the organization. How would you drive it, you know? And it just really defines what we have been saying, you know. I will not belabor going through, you know, it needs to be results driven, you know. You need to have competence members, you know. I like the unified commitment and the collaborative climate internal within the organization. You know, what is principled leadership? What is principled leadership in your opinion? Short of us HR being accused by like that conversation where people say people in the C-suite are very self-entitled. What is principled leadership? In your opinion?
I think it is leadership that is based on values, on common values.
Yeah. Leadership based on common values. That's true. Someone else? Common values that we can see. People, they set a good example. This is what we have said we are going to do. They can trust others, you know, principled leadership. There's a commitment, there's drive, there's open communication. Yeah. We can also met up the consequences if things are not going on right. There's fairness. Yeah. They are a real principled leader. Why would someone say, wow, Janet, I'm reading names on my panel. Janet is a real principled leader. Why do we say that? You know, and no, they're not a principled leader because they do extremely opposite of what they are expected to be doing. Okay, great. So again, innovation comes in very strongly. We know that these are days that we cannot even not have, not look into the area of innovation, agility, and creativeness in our organizations. Active listening to the said and to the unsaid. I keep on saying, well, when people stick necks in your offices, you know, and say, do you have 5 minutes for me? If you don't have the 5 minutes, just say, it's not a good time. Can we schedule a time? But if it's urgent, you can know when something is urgent and when something is not urgent. Create time, unless it is really dire. You can always delegate and be able to make sure that this person really tells you exactly what it is and giving an opportunity to provide feedback. Everybody needs to take initiative. Initiative is two-way process, double motivation. Motivate yourself and make sure that the environment is enabled, strong enough for people to take the extra initiative that they need, whatever. Trust and respect. Everybody needs to be respected and trusted. From the very top to the very bottom, everybody is important in this organization. We all come here for the common good. We all employees. You benefit, I benefit. We can benefit at different levels. Your salary could be higher than mine, but it's equal work for equal pay. I feel appreciated and ability to be able to say it as it is. Risk taking, very important, especially in the area of HR. HR now has never been more taken into account and into consideration around the area of risk taking, mapping out all the functions that you do and what are some of the risks that are associated with this, and what are some of the things that you can put in place to mitigate some of those risks. We need to be very, very well aware of that. Any question, reaction? Reaction? Reaction towards that as we almost coming to an end? Yeah. So which are the following are some of the expectations that the mentee or the coachee has from his mentor and mentoring process. What are some of the expectations? What do the mentees expect from the mentoring process? We have been discussing them, but really aligning them very, very well. You can also look at these symbols. What do you think these symbols represent? Try these symbols. Anything? Okay. So they expect a capability. Someone can unmute themselves. Just unmute as I put up the slides and read. Anyone? So they expect capability improvement, that when I mentor you, then you are capable of really doing what you are not doing in the previous past. They also expect politeness, even if you are senior, more senior than me, and especially in the mentoring world, because I'm more experienced and I could be naturally much older than you. But every mentee expects his or her mentor to be polite with him or her, lead with empathy, with sympathetic ear or empathetic ear in their difficulties in learning and performing, and help them whenever possible. This sometimes becomes very difficult and people become very impatient. One of the key characteristics of a good mentor and a good coach is the ability to be extremely patient with others and also being polite in even the way you address the other person. Guidance and support, that was they expect that the mentee to act as a strong pillar of support. We are partners, that's what we say, give honest feedback, suggest new techniques or strategies of doing things. Be a role model, a principled person, like what we have said, provide principled leadership. To be their role model, create a style of your own, which is unique. Open communication, interact with them, encourage a two-way transparent communication during the mentorship process. Liberty, don't be too rigid, be a bit more flexible. I have this saying, and we all have it. It's never that serious, Vito on the ground are different. You could be saying this, but when we come to the ground to execute the real work, especially if it's a manager who's mentoring people in this department, giving directions and giving guidance, telling them, please go and explore the opportunities to come and for us to be able to solve this problem or articulate this project, they will say, what we have found there, you think we can sell 100 biros per day? Things are very different. The most we can sell is 80 biros. In fact, on a bad day, we'll be just selling 50 biros, on a good day. So your far-fetched dream of 100, very. So liberty, discussion, give them freedom to work their way. It empowers people, it's sustaining, it is motivating. Equality, without treat your mentees without any bias. Everybody is equal, we are partners. We are all in here to do a great work to achieve what we have come to do. And one of the things is that remove the biasness. You're not looking at this person is more junior from this community, prejudice, stereotype, I don't like you. Again, we know that Kenyans, we have a passive, aggressive nature. We never say as it is. We always wishy-wash. Let your yes be yes and let your no be no. Yeah. Fair treatment, be open and fair about evaluating your mentee's performance. and don't be unfair to what they deserve. Connect at personal level. That's what really, that connection, that collaboration. Inquire about the individual progress, difficult areas of learning, doubts, concerns, what would it be? And sometimes, without feeling that you're intruding in their personal space, it all calls for emotional intelligence. For you to connect at a personal level, your ability to be self-aware of who you are, your ability to learn your team. This is an introvert, this is an extrovert, this is a sanguine, all those personality types. Take the time to understand who each individual in their team, what they like. Maybe they'll come in the morning and they're the kind just to say a very lukewarm, because you've already thought, well, that's lukewarm. Good morning, everybody. And there are some people who will say, good morning, everyone. How are you? I've brought mandazi for the whole team. It's in the kitchen, And that one who said just good morning is looking and whatever. And at noon, they're the same, hey, let's go. Today the lunch treat is on me. People just are very different. Then they come alive in the afternoon when all the other people are fifiaring. They're the ones who are going to execute the project for you guys in the afternoon. So learn everybody in the team so that you have a better time to mentor them and to be able to support them in their growth journey in the organization. So mentees also expect a lot from their mentors, as you can see, from their coaches. They take you with high regard, and they expect you to deliver, and they expect you to treat people as individuals, as at a personal level. Question? Coming to the tail end. Question, reaction? Question, reaction? Question, reaction? Okay. Let's talk about the role of feedback in mentoring and coaching. Role of feedback. Anyone who would like to read for us?
Good morning, I can read.
Thank you very much.
Role of feedback in mentoring stroke coaching. Essential part of any mentoring or coaching process. Review the mentoring process, make plans, reinforce strengths and improve performance. Review work, analyze problems, and compile questions, and identify areas of support.
Thank you very much. Yesterday I said that we are two kinds of people in the world: open to feedback, averse to feedback, and you need to find out where you fall as an individual. That's the only time you'll be really be able to understand how you deal with feedback and how you deal with difficult situations around your performance at the workplace, how you take them. If you have a 360-degree tool of providing feedback, the people who are averse to feedback, their hearts palpitate like this sometimes, and it's a natural reaction, just thinking, what will the people who, I don't even know who's giving me feedback, but they're always thinking, what will they say? They might not say very good things about me. Why are you doubting if you're a good person? And if it's objective, they will say, Catherine, you are an impatient person and you need to learn to be more patient, and give you examples in this project, in this day, whatever, things that you can remember to help you improve. People who are open to feedback, come one, come all, let me listen to the good, the bad, and the ugly. Feedback is important for us to be able to analyze problems, compile questions, and identify areas of support. This is what we need to take back when people say, so why should we give feedback? Even when we are working remotely, why should we give feedback? Sometimes when we are giving feedback also, ask people to turn on their videos so that you can see their reactions and how they are receiving that feedback. In disciplinary processes, how are we receiving feedback? How are we giving that feedback, which is very difficult? If someone's job is going to be terminated, how we, that connection and to see their reaction, it gives you some additional information on how they are receiving. Leave the ones we say, hey, bonus. When we say it's bonus, everybody will put on their videos. I can tell you for a fact. We want to discuss about transferring you to you've been handpicked to be in the talent pool. Do you mind putting on your video? Yeah. Let me. People are always ready. Why can't we just be ready? So one of the emphasis that we would like to say is the role of giving feedback in counseling, mentoring, and coaching, because they all work, whatever good interventions and good programs is to able to analyze the problems, compile the necessary questions to ask, and identify the areas of support. How can I help you more? How can I support you more? What should we be doing more, me and you, for you to get to where we are? Types of feedback. Any question there? Types of feedback. There are positive and negative approaches to giving feedback, like indirect. You're not saying what it is, insensitive. You're not looking at the circumstances and of the other person, and you know exactly that this person is not in a good frame of mind, but you still go hard hitting, disrespectful, impulsive, selfish, general, attacking, poor timing, judgmental. So all these other ones we are aware of, but most of the line managers, I would like us to pause here and give you a real good scenario. Managers will go to a meeting and say, I want us to be better team players. That's it. Listen to ourselves as people who are supposed to be supporting and guiding and providing leadership to teams. I want us to have better teamwork. And they leave it at that. And they go their way. What have they said? They've said a general statement without unpacking it. And they think that everybody understands what it means to be a good team player. How about coming and giving examples of where we are not being good team players and where we expected to provide team, we are supposed to be good team players in the department, in this area or in this project that we are doing, or even it has been told to us that this department is not being good team player to the other departments or to the organization. You've just brought there, and maybe you are even told instances and examples, and you have come and dumped to your team, and your team is just left high and dry, thinking, what have they just said? How are supposed to unpack it? And maybe even your team needs more support, giving feedback, analyzing the problem, compiling the questions, and identifying areas of support. So all these other ones we know examples, but let's try as much as possible not to give general feedback, because we think that everybody understands what we have said and they'll be able to unpack it. Let us provide the right support to the team. Any question? Okay. So how to give feedback while mentoring and coaching? Be direct and specific. Never get personal. We all do. We know that. And one general principle of giving feedback is praise in public, reprimand in private, And I love a leader who comes and says, I took the bullet for you guys in that meeting. I know we didn't do well, but let's debrief, And even if it's Catherine who really made the blunder, you've already debriefed with Catherine. Then you are bringing the problem to the table. You're not bringing Catherine to the table. You've already addressed that issue with Catherine in the boardroom or in your office or wherever, those rooms that are earmarked to handle personal discussions. So you're bringing the issue. You've gone to the board. You've said, yes, and you know the mess came from someone. You've addressed that, then you're bringing it to the department because it let down the department, and we are all now having that discussion. Develop an action plan from the information gathered. Encourage the coachee or the mentee to talk as well. Give people an opportunity to talk. Is that okay? Question? Question? Oh, can you skip something? Those are the types of supportive feedback, which is helpful, sensitive, direct, supportive, descriptive, considerate, healthy timing, and being very specific. And then now how to give feedback while mentoring. Okay. So what are some of the roles of coach and a mentor? We know that a coach is a good planner, is an expert, especially a mentor, is an instructor, is a facilitator, is a co-learner, is a role model, and is a resourceful person. The role of a real good mentor. This is what needs to learn, and I will not go through them. An expert helps to transmit knowledge. Instructor directs learning, the situation. Facilitator helps the mentee reach their agreed goals. Resource person helps provide relevant examples, points people to the right places. A role model acts as a role model, influence behavior. Co-learner, we're all learning together. We're in this together. I learn from you, you learn from me. We can have reverse mentoring. And yeah. Did you know that survey shows that an employee who has been guided by a mentor climbs up the corporate ladder more quickly? A study shows that 75% professionals say that mentoring has played a key role in their career. And I'm sure some of us here would say the same thing. Mentors also help to achieve higher job satisfaction, productivity, retention, and job satisfaction. Where you have one foot in, one foot out, no. Then when you have those programs in the organization, you are up for success. Any question? Any question? Any question? So we all know that we meet all sorts of all sorts of people in the organization, and sometimes we can we can compartmentalize them in three whatever. There are some people who are really mediocre. Who is a mediocre person in the organization? Your work is so mediocre. Who's a mediocre person?
The person who just does work to get by.
To get by, makes no extra effort. Those ones of below standard, mediocre, panel beating, gives it to you, So how do you mentor different personalities? For someone who is mediocre, you would want to consider understanding their limitations, avoid conflicts with them because they never want conflicts, They want to stay at the status quo, open communication channels, give feedback, respect them, give positive feedback, bring out the best in them, always continuously telling them that they can really do it. Difficult people who are difficult people in the organization, they are such a difficult person. I don't want to work with them. Don't we hear those statements all the time? Who are difficult people in the organization? Who are difficult people in the organization? And how do we mentor them? Difficult people are always the ones who sometimes they critique everything without, they criticize everything without giving solutions. And they can bring positive, negative energy. Sometimes they can influence people negatively in the organization, and they can be difficult to execute their role if you give them the role that they are not they don't think that they should be doing. Yeah, Caroline Mwangi?
I think difficult people are also very intelligent.
Yeah.
Pole kwa homa.
Asante.
They're also very intelligent, so they are able to critique whatever you're trying to work through very quickly. The challenge is how to harness their energy in a way that you can harvest from their intelligence, but also harness that energy in the right direction. So sometimes you can be impatient with a difficult colleague, but if you listen very closely to how they understand things, they have another perspective that is not normal for people who just take things as they come.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and sometimes we need to be more patient with them. And sometimes we can be impatient, but we need to say it as it is, that don't just be difficult for just being difficult. They also need to see the other person's point of view. And sometimes I keep on saying, if you are the only person, 10 of us are agreeing to this, and you are the only one who, whatever, come to this side and see how it is. Invite them to come to this other side. Don't just stay there. We're inviting you to come to this other side. Not just say, you be left there, you will find us in Canaan. And you have left them in Egypt. Was it Egypt? Yeah, Egypt. And you proceeded to go. Come, bring them your way. Show them that they also add value, and give them feedback. If it's a second time, you can say, why is it always? The first time you also had a challenge in accepting this decision. And this is the second time, something different. Is there something that you see that we do not see? Yeah. So ask those questions, probe a little bit more, So this is how you can deal with different difficult person when you are coaching or mentoring them. Engage in conversation without feeling that they are boxing you. Celebrate the accomplishment, like what Caroline has said. Use constructive confrontation, be diplomatic, respect them. Everybody wants to be respected. Use good judgment. Don't be too rushed in making decisions. Think through their pattern and thought process, including you. Don't be don't be in a rush to make that decision. Remain level-headed and strong. Brilliant people. Hey, don't you love to work with brilliant people? There's some people who are just very, very clever. Clever. They absorb like sponge. They are early adapters. They are not laggards. They just, this is it. This is me. They're blue-eyed boys, and they know their space. Brilliant people tap on belief, efficiency, effectiveness. This is what it is. This is what we want to have. And if you have these people in your organization, you feel very happy. Tap on their energy. They have enthusiasm and drive. Display similar strengths. You have to be one step ahead of brilliant people. And I keep on saying, for you to be successful, always be one step ahead of your supervisor or your manager. Be open to communication, encourage out of the box thinking, because they're creative, they're agile, they're innovative, understand what makes them tick, need for upgrading. They are suckers for affirmation, by the way, brilliant people. So please know, they like that, yeah. So, and they just don't like routine, mundane tasks and whatever create demand for them, So different people, and we know that in the organization, they could be laggards, mediocres, they could be people who always want to see my way or the highway, and there are some people who just, let's move. What's stopping us from moving? We've already done this. What's the next big thing? So really just understand who your people are. Okay. Any question there? Any question there? Okay, so you'll get people who are offensive as well. Of course, recognize that defensive behavior is normal. Empathize and understand human limitations, that we are all limited. understand the need to postpone a certain action or goal that you've been working on, and never attack a person's defenses. They'll become more defensive. Have you ever asked someone, why are you crying? Or your child, why are you crying? And they continue crying more. Let people cry, and then after that, have the conversation. Or when it is too heated, call out for a 5 minutes, truce. Everybody goes and breathe easy, and then you come back, because sometimes it can get very defensive, especially at the workplace. When a manager is doing that, I don't think it would get there when it's one-to-one mentoring or coaching sessions. But when we're in a group, some of these behaviors do come out from people. And what would you do as a line manager? Or even what would you do to appear? You appear, you're in the department and you see someone doing this, and it's causing discomfort to the rest of the team members. And you have a manager who does not like confrontation. You should be able to tell your colleague when it is right. This was not right. Bana, Leo, wiki, this, the way you're going, is there a problem that we need to discuss, recognize? And maybe they don't even recognize that behavior. And then when you go to talk to them, they will say, well, this is it. Don't be defensive, and listen to them. And if you can offer support, offer that support. If you can say, can we look for another person? Can I ask the manager now to take over because you feel that it is the right thing? Then you should be able to do that. Is that okay? Okay, great. Okay, the rest are people growth of what we have said, the benefits of being a mentor. Allow me not to go through that. It's the same what we have said in the previous ones, assessing the plans, monitoring the review of the candidate. Allow me not to go through that. I will go through the last developing tools for mentoring. The various development tools that can be used for developing the capabilities of a mentee are as follows. On the job, you give them, we give them that support. On the job training, you give them job, and they can see you also doing the job, job shadow, sitting next to Nelly or that. Training and education, we can send them for further training. We can earmark deliberate trainings that will help them grow that skill or that experience, and learning from others. Very, very pairing people to make sure that that is done, So I won't go through those learning and development. Learning types to use while mentoring, self-directed learning, continuous education, verbal mentoring, and on-the-job experience. Any question there? Any question? Passing on very quickly. Okay. So as a mentor and as a mentee, then you should make sure that you explain the idea and the concept and information. If you have any principles, please make sure that you do that. Demonstrate through examples, case studies, role play, work through the process together with the employee or the coachee, and then allow the employees to work through the same process independently. People learn through doing, yeah. I won't go through that, the aim of mentoring and coaching, but I will go to the last slide where we say, how do we evaluate criteria for evaluating mentoring process? You see, we should be able to look at how to evaluate. And you can see that there are many ways you can. What are the results, what results have been obtained, objectives of the program, what are some of the areas of improvement, what's the cost-benefit analysis, and sometimes we do struggle in terms of getting the cost-benefit analysis. And the reason as to why we struggle here is because we have not thought through, how much is it going to cost us? What is in between? What are people learning? And in the end, what have they brought back? Show the real cost benefit analysis in terms of our return on investment. We should be able to use criteria and methods and tools to be able to see how our mentoring and coaching programs are helping in improving our organization overall in terms of what the objectives are. Organization met needs, individual met needs, improvement in performance, and transfer of learning to the workplace. Okay, great. So just those are some of the things that you can do. And I'll not go through that case study. It's just a case study of people getting confidence. Okay, I'd like us to go through the last one. So as a nutshell, we have said that the following should be done to mentor someone: engage your proteges who are your mentors and your coaches, build a rapport, set the strategy and communicate the tone, go over the objectives and learning growth, review and correct performance in terms of giving feedback. What are the responsibilities that a mentor has to fulfill? Creating and managing diversity, turning individuals into team players. You must make sure that there is quality management in whatever you are doing. You must ensure that there is enhanced performance and all the time enhancing performance. There must be innovation around the people's way of thinking, people's way of doing things, and you must have that ability for self-motivation and creating an environment for motivation. So mentors should also measure the following. You remember yesterday where we used the balance scorecard, and the balance scorecard is, it's looking totality into the people, the business, internal processes, and cash remains king. So customer is your business, what you do, the products and services you produce or you take to the market, the financial and regulatory perspective, internal processes, and the learning and growth of the people. And finally, some expectations that a mentee has for the mentor: capability improvement, politeness, guidance and support, overall role models, open communication, liberty and equity, fair treatment, and you must be able to connect at a personal level. We have learned some key, we've gone through some key catch phrases around coaching. What is coaching? Partnering with clients in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires people to maximize their personal and professional potential. We should be able to use criteria wherever we are looking at mentoring and coaching programs. Criteria is the basis for comparison, a reference point against which other things can be evaluated. Factor is the circumstances, facts, or influence that contribute to a result. Feedback, we've talked about feedback. Feedback is the criteria, assessment, or suggestion to improve performance. Objectives are the goals intended to be achieved or attained and which are believed to be attainable. On the job means relating or to be associated with a job of employment, and you are being shown how to do it. Performance, important. Performance is the process or manner of functioning or operating, and a program is a system of projects or services intended to be met. Questionnaires are important for making sure that people are submitting and you are getting statistical data and information for you to be able to make informed decisions. And quizzes, you should be able to constantly, at the corridors, a quiz, how is it going? How do we do this? So just short things to engage people's mind and to make sure that they are alert and continue to be balanced as you are providing the mentoring and coaching programs. That marks the end of our of our webinar around coaching and mentoring skills. I'll open the session to plenary for questions and answers. Was it useful? What have you learned today? Reactions, questions, anything that you would like, feedback as well? Ruth, please review the part on how to mentor people for growth. Okay, I'll do that. Someone? So I'll open the questions to, I'll open the session to questions and answers, feedback. Was it useful? Did you feel it was worth your while? Anyone? Was it useful? Did you feel that it was worth your 2-day? What are you taking back? What has been one key highlight then? One key highlight, anyone? And it on an all high feedback.
Thank you very much, Catherine, for this wonderful presentation. I think for me, the key, the main takeaway from this from today's session is about mentoring difficult people. Many a times we are faced with the, the challenge of knowing what to do with such people, be it colleagues, be it people you're supposed to be mentoring. And sometimes you actually end up not even seeing the point, and both of you get so defensive in between the discussion. So really, this has been very, very helpful. I have one here, or several, but I can say one main one that you can never have a conversation with. So this is going to be very helpful for me.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Wow, fantastic. Happy to hear that it's happening at the workplace, and what can we do about it? What are some of the things that we need to put in place? I keep on saying, always be the mature one. Understand their personality, choose a good time to have that conversation, use emotional intelligence as much as you can, use extra ears to listen to the said and to the unsaid, and it becomes much, much better to be able to work and mentor difficult people. Well done. Thank you. Yeah. Someone else? Thank you, Benjamin.
Yes,
Thank you, Benjamin.
Catherine.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Catherine. As I said, for me, I'm looking into going into this field. I've not had a chance to practice HR, though I've found myself in the HR committees, committees that are set up because there's this issue or the other to be sorted. There are many things happening in the organization. Over time, I found myself there, and that was my motivation to HR. And now I'm looking at mentoring, coaching and mentoring because of the many other things I do even in the society. And this has been really helpful. It actually pushes me towards that direction more. And it came up at a time when I was giving it a thought. I'm looking at something as simple as the expectations from a mentee for the mentor. At times when you're mentoring people, we think we are doing them a favor. So you're sitting there talking and talking, you're not even looking at them body language, and you're thinking, why are they being difficult? I'm doing them a favor. Why aren't they listening to me? I'm the one who knows it. Just being humble, sitting there to listen alone is just a good mentoring. And thanks so much for taking us through that. This is going to make me really reflect into myself and ask myself, when I take people through coaching, when I take people as a mentor, what is it that they're expecting when they come to me? Are they just expecting me to push down knowledge, or are they expecting that I will listen to them and grow what they have within them? And we find a few people in the society who at a number of times they just feel helpless. They feel like they don't know themselves. They don't understand themselves, to use the right word. And as much as they have so much authority, they have so much information, they have so many things they can do, they're not able to do them because they feel like they're in the wrong direction all the time. How am I going to push myself to help them just feel confident to just move on with the things that they are able to do? Thanks so much. And I could say for me, actually, what I could ask for is your contact, because I'm looking at moving that direction, following in the footsteps and being one of you in the near future. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well done, Beatrice. It's always good, very profound when people come and say, well, this is what I really want to do for myself. You know, I have reflected and there's so much potential in this area. There's enough for everyone. We can all become coaches. We all, I'm sure we are mentors. We have mentors and people who are mentoring us, but it's a partnership. Let's understand that it's a partnership. Even if you have more knowledge and experience, I like what someone has said here, Caroline, is it that we need to listen more and be more humble and have humility. Yeah, well done. Someone else, thank you for all those coming in. I believe coaching and mentoring is a new trend in organizations in order for us to attain a competitive advantage. Thank you for the great insights. I have taken home more listening and humility needs for people. Thank you. I believe coaching and mentoring is a new trend. Yeah, thank you for that. I have taken home humility. Sorry, I have to go up. Very useful, especially as I am embarking on a new job. Well done. And my core terms of reference is mentoring and coaching. It couldn't have come at a better time. Oh, fantastic. Well done. And well, all the best in your new job, Sheila. We wish you well. We'll be helping you. Yeah, very informative, mentoring difficult people, someone else. So well done. Yeah. Great insights shared today on navigating the confidentiality clause after Kochi has divulged that they have broken the law. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate it. So true. Thank you. Looking forward. So that's really nice. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Questions, reactions? Anybody
Catherine,
else?
I think as a close, let me add something.
Yeah.
I think the whole issue of mentoring and coaching depends on the mentor. After some time, I don't know, the private organizations or companies are good in that kind of mentoring, but the public institutions or the public companies that most of us work in, sometimes you might find a lot of resistance to the young generation, especially the one who just employed the other day. The reason being is that the issue of equity and equality in this in the organization sometimes is very different, especially the salary differentiation or salaries that compensation that you give to them. Most of them doesn't appreciate that you've just entered the organization and your starting salary is between this range to this range. And you find most of them that they've come in with higher qualifications, masters, some of them have done doctorate, and they find somebody who has stayed in the organization for 40 years, about to retire, so they want to earn the same salary. So there is a lot of issues of equity and equality, and I don't know what are the training institutions. I don't know this young generation, they just wanted to come to the office immediately. They want to be everything. They want to control the resources. They want to have good vehicles. They want to have good houses. So it's the issue of mentoring and coaching must be an example from the mentor. How do you handle this young generation? And the issue also of involving them and allowing them to participate in day-to-day activities of the organization. Yeah, the private organization, I'm saying there's no problem, there's no much problem, but the public institutions, a big issue.
And that's where we need to have start those conversations at, I keep on saying, why can't we start at the department level in any institution, private, not private, how do we make sure that that we are all, when we all say we are all in this boat together, to build these boats and to make sure that this boat is steady and it's not sinking, those are good conversations to start to have, Benjamin. And then where do we draw the line that I have been in this institution for 40 years and you have just come with no work experience and you've climbed the ladder, even if you didn't go to school, but experience calls for something. Education also calls for something. When we're doing job evaluations, what happens? We have 7 key compensable factors. I think when we employ people, we need to tell them how salaries are actually arrived at. So that if I come rocking in with my master's and I have only gone for internship, which count for work experience, but now this is my first real job. If I'm actually at the bottom of the tier of that, whatever, it's paying 50,000, and someone who has been working in this organization for 15 years it's as 120. For example, these are just examples in figures. How do I make sure that there is still that energy and there's transparency as why I am earning 50, which salaries are confidential, and 70? I think HRs, we need to all come together one day and discuss about salary and remuneration and people's expectations. It's something that whatever, it now starts having those conversations around, you can't mentor me. I have a master's. You left school and you still have a diploma, but I've been here for 40 years. I can show you a lot. I'm more experienced. So how do we have that psychological contracting when I go to the workplace and I want to accelerate my growth and learning, around respect, around trust? I think there's a lot. It all comes to, again, to your culture in the organization. But Benjamin, I hear you. Rome was not built in a day, but we need to start somewhere. And now that you have some insights around it, my challenge to you and challenge to all of us is, what can we do? Okay, great. Anybody else as a last pointer before I jump, get to another meeting starting at 11:30? Okay, great. Thank you all for your participation. You've really been a good audience, really enriching. And I'm happy that you could attend 2 days. You've still got a wonderful 2 days to go. Tomorrow, we'll be having HR consulting. For those of us internally, we need to consult all the time. Externally, you could be looking for consultancies. So we'll have, the training will be facilitated by Rhoda. Rhoda is a great trainer, and we hope that we'll see you all tomorrow. For me, is to wish you a real good day, and whatever activities which are lined up after this, that you will do them with precision. You will not ask the question why, you will try, and you look at people who ask with the start the question with the sentence why, and see the reaction of the other person, and try and paraphrase that question and see what kind of reaction you will get, and let's make mentors out of ourselves. Let's make coaches out of ourselves. And also let's agree, let's also agree to unlearn. And if we need to be mentored and we need to be coached, let's walk the coaching journey together. So for me, it's really to say thank you and God bless you, and see you next time. Have a blessed day. Take care. Bye. All the best. Bye now. Take care.
Thank you.
God bless you, Catherine. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah. Let's keep in touch. I have sent my number there so you can get in touch.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye. Thank you, Dan. Bye. Good day.
Thank you.